Oh no, your favorite ratchet is breaking. It might be a little loose, or it's not locking like it used to, or there might be something that's feeling a little off with the mechanism. I'm going to show you in this video 2 ways that the ratchet could potentially fail. There could be many ways a ratchet could fail, but these 2 I believe would be the most common. And the first one I'm going to show you is the interaction between the blade and the ratchet. So the internals of the ratchet may be fine, but it's going to be right over here on the blade. There's going to be these 2 little teeth or tabs of plastic, one right there and one right over here. My camera's failing to focus here, but there's going to be 2 pieces of plastic here that are biting or holding on to the 2 plastic tabs of the outer ring of a ratchet, or I'm going to refer to it as the classification ring. So these 2 pieces of plastics here, as the ratchet is flush and you spin it, those are what's holding this ratchet in. Now, as this is going to burst, there's a potential that when this is spun out, it may be only half, or it might be only like a little bit, and then this can occur, this torquing motion as it bursts. So if this is occurring, it's biting onto the little piece of plastic over here, right over there, or right over here, and that can cause it to turn white a little bit. The ratchet as well may be turning white at the edges, and that can be why it's loose. It might be the blade itself at the underside that could be failing. So this is very common on blades that are very high impact. You might see that on things like Night Mail when you make it an attack combo, or blades that suffer from a lot of trauma, bludgeoning, that would be like a wizard rod. Now, let's say it's not that. Let's say it's internal, which is better news, because this is actually something that can be easily fixable across both currently the 450, 360, as well as your 370 and your 380s, okay? Like any of the height ratchets. Now, the in-between, like the half Cs, like a 455 or a M85, these are simple ratchets. So you'll see that these are just pieces of POM that are actually held in place via these 2 locking, like kind of like clip pieces, and there's no screws involved in here, and there is no locking mechanism that make the ratchet like come into place internally. So these 2 will be excluded from this video. But the 450, and again, any of the ratchets of any kind of classification and height, this will apply to. So let's take a look at the ratchet. You'll see that on the inside here, there is a piece of white POM in here that goes up and down. Right over there. It's like out of focus as heck, but that is going up and down. This is actually what's making full contact with the bit, and that bit can be high burst resistance or low burst resistance. That's what's moving out of the way to hold it in place, not causing the ratcheting sound that's actually caused by this external locking POM. So if you were to take a tri-wing bit, it's 3.0 here. I don't know if this is metric or imperial, just letting you know. But if I were to take this tri-wing bit, unscrew it, what I'll be presented with is the height disc, which I'll call the inner disc or the inner ring, and then this classification ring and the external ring here, right? On top of both of those is going to be the external locking POM, and then finally you'll be shown the internal here, internal locking POM. So this thing is going to be going up and down based off of the resistance, the burst resistance of the bit. And essentially what can happen is the failure of this internal piece is super common, because this is going to be the piece under the most amount of friction, stress, and heat. So what might happen is a fissure or a class 1 breakage. So what's going to happen here is this POM looks like it's really normal. But as soon as I pull this apart just a little bit, you'll see there's actually a little micro crack. So now this will behave in a way where when the ratchet is locking in place, it'll feel like it's good in either or direction, like it feels great. But then in the opposite direction, it'll feel a little off, trying to come off, or trying to go in. And not only will it feel a little off, there might be like a double action or triple action thing going on, where when you put a ratchet on, typically it should just feel like one action, right? It's on there, pull it, and then it should just dislodge. Counterclockwise, it should lock. When you have something like this on, you might feel like there's like an initial click, and then finally after the initial click, it locks in place. So if this is occurring, you might have piece of POM in there, that internal locking POM that might have failed. And if this occurs, this is a no-no. This sucks. Okay, this is probably what you're feeling if your ratchet feels a little off. The other kind of break, which is a stage 2 or class 2, whatever you want to call it, this is when the piece of POM completely breaks off. Okay, so over here, here's like a big chunk that's broken off, and over here, the very top part of the POM is completely missing. What do these behave like? Well, I'm actually going to demo that for you, because this is probably what you feel when a ratchet is loose. And I mean really loose. So here it is, together, and there is no locking action at all. Just feels like butter. And if that goes right onto a blade, it doesn't matter what burst resistance that is. You'll see that that is just super washy and easy to pull off, even with the rush bit on there. That's bad. So, if this is what your ratchet is behaving like, it's most likely a class 2 or whatever we want to call this, okay? So this is going to be a subject to replacement. You'll need to replace it. Now, when you're replacing these, it's really, really important. I would take this apart to prove it, but if you have a 450, you can take my word for it. Or you can do it yourself, but the internals are the same. They are the same. The only thing that's different is actually this external POM. So if I take my tri-wing screwdriver, take off these screws here, this was actually a subject of controversy during a tournament, because somebody did find that a blader was cheating by taking the external POM and replacing it with a 60 or 70 or 80 ratchet external POM piece. And you can see over here there is a difference in the width. A little hard to see. Bam, right there. Look at that. I'm trying to hold that as flush as possible so you can really see it. So this would be the one that people would replace and put into a 450. And then the small one, they dish it out. Now, if you do that, number one, that's illegal, and you'd be cheating. But number two, that is what's going to be causing the ratchet to be super tight. We're talking like crazy tight. So, you're out of luck when you're using a 450. And that piece fails. But luckily for you, that isn't, again, like I've shown you from my the amount of bays and ratchets that I've broken so far, that doesn't seem to be the piece that's actually under a lot of stress. It's actually that tiny little internal locking POM that's receiving all the beating. So again, on the 450, they look exactly the same. I don't think there's a change in the weight. I don't have a scale to prove that, and I don't think that it changes the tension at all. They look exactly the same. Okay, so this piece, if it fails on your 450, and you're like, darn man, that sucks, lucky for you, the external ring, from my memory, is exactly the same as a regular 4. So technically, you can replace the 4, and you can replace the internal locking POM, and you'll still maintain the 50 height. That is great. So if you need to replace a ratchet, now you know, you can fix these style of ratchets this family. Any of these simple ratchets, there's not really much you can do here. There's only just two pieces technically in the simple ratchet construction. So that is just something to keep in mind. I got a lot of my spare parts from having extra blades. As a competitive blader, you might do the same because, you know, your Phoenix Wing, you're going to be using that a lot. It hits real hard, it's going to break. And the cracks and stuff occur right over here. And potentially as well right over here. So here or here might be where a crack might happen. And then for your wizard rod, it might occur right here in front of the little circles is where a crack might occur. So I had to buy, like, I have 3 different Phoenix Wings. This is a Phoenix Wing that's currently in use, but my decommissioned Phoenix Wing got me a 960, which is this one right here in the video. That's the original 960 I got from my first Phoenix Wing. And the internals were perfectly fine. No problems there. Nothing cracked. And then on my wizard rod, this isn't the yellow one, but my yellow wizard rod, I had 1 break on me so far. And the ratchet, perfectly fine. It was just a 570, right? So here it is. Here's the spare parts for that. 570 right there. And then I have a few other, there's a little 3. This is the 3 from the 380. I think it's a 380. That's a part of Silverwolf. And then the height discs, I have a little baggie for that. And then all the external locking POM, which these will not fail. I don't think these will fail. I've yet to see that firsthand. And then of course, again over here, it's a little baggie of these screws that lock in the more complex ratchets. And then the little white locking internal POM that I have extra of. And then the little height discs. So you can build yourself a pretty good collection immediately from blades that are broken naturally that way. Just keep these, don't throw these out, right? If the blade fails, that sucks, but the bit might still be fine. Or if the bit and the blade failed, well, at least you have the ratchet if it hasn't broken already. So that is actually how I've been able to keep and maintain and repair my ratchets. And I really hope that this video helps identify what it might be that you know, your ratchet symptoms are, so then you can kind of identify, okay, maybe, you know, fresh ratchet feels great, you know, it's locking like normal, no problems, you know, feels great. And then as soon as you start to feel it's a little sluggish, it's completely loose, even with like a high resistance bit in there like Rush, then you know immediately it's probably time to replace it or service it. Take a look at the internals. Okay, so I really hope that that was helpful. It's the way that I was able to get my wife's Tiger 360 back together, because this was brand new, like super brand new, and then it just completely failed, and I was super sad, and I was able to find out, like, oh, it's just this little white piece here that failed, and surprisingly, it was this one right here. This was the one that failed on my wife's Tiger, the one that was stage 1 damage, just a little fissure. Right there, just a little fissure, so that's all it took to replace it. So yeah, hopefully this video was helpful. Don't cheat. Don't do anything else in here. You know, like it's not okay. And this is just for the purpose of, again, you know, if you have a favorite ratchet, or again, something competitively viable like this 960, people really love a broken, worn in 960, because that is just perfectly folded in on itself and circular, like harder and harder to burst. I don't know when this becomes illegal, but if it's just the internals that are failing, you technically could just use this ring forever until somebody calls it, when a judge or a TO calls it that, like, that's no more, that's not tournament legal anymore. The only thing I'll warn you is that on these classification rings, or the outer rings, that right there is definitely what wears down. So you can see those little nubs over there that are the opening for the top part of that lines up with that that little divot. Since it's POM, that's not going to be what wears down. It's going to be that plastic here that wears down the most. So that's just something to keep in mind. So hopefully this was a helpful video. Stay awesome. I do Beyblades now. It's crazy.